As I told you guys, I'll be starting this 1 week kind of 7 sessions talking about 7 dense emotions and how they impact our lives. What are those emotions? Understanding those emotions properly. And today's session, we are going to talk about shame and how shame impacts our lives, what shame is made up of, what does shame feel like in our body, and why it is important for us to heal this particular kind of feeling in us. We will also see the healthy forms of shame, the unhealthy forms of shame, and so on and so forth. So today's session is going to be about the first emotion, the densest of all of them, as I call these 7 ones together and see them as a group. So shame basically is an emotion, is kind of a feeling where you feel that you are somebody who is fundamentally flawed. You're somebody who is not good enough. You feel bad about yourself inherently, as if there's a constant feeling of embarrassment, there's a constant feeling of humiliation, there's a constant feeling of not being good enough, and having that fear of being rejected by people around, feeling unworthy, feeling undeserving, feeling that you're incapable of achieving things, doing things. And when we talk about shame, usually people also bring guilt together in the picture. So of course there are a lot of overlapping things which are there in both of these emotions. However, when it comes to guilt, it is about your behavior and action, something that you do, something that you have done inappropriate, wrong, or it's more like something that you have done, right? But when it comes to shame, it is like a feeling of being flawed and being inappropriate as a person itself, as if you are wrong as a person. So when we see in the spectrum of consciousness, shame is something which I see as the densest of all the other dense emotions which are there, like maybe anger, maybe having a very strong desperation for something, grief, sadness, loneliness. Call any of these emotions into picture, and shame is something which is the densest. Why it's the densest? I'll share with you guys. The first thing is that shame makes us completely disconnected with ourselves, and also disconnected with people around. So it causes the highest amount of disconnection. And as human beings, oneness is something which is natural to us, not separation or disconnection. So when we are feeling this kind of heightened form of disconnection, as if we are not approved, not seen, not heard, not loved, not acknowledged by our existence is not acknowledged, then it causes the deepest amount of hurt, the deepest amount of pain in our psyche, in our being, at the most internal level. So that's that. It's also an emotion, or I should say a feeling that is there, which makes you feel really, really powerless and really, really disempowered, as if you have completely lost your power to do anything about this thing, because you have already made it about yourself, right? And you're saying that I'm wrong, I cannot do this, I am this kind of a person, I am that kind of a person. So there's a complete identification that has happened, where you have labeled your own identity, your individuality, as something. So that's a little bit about what shame feels like, what are the basics of shame. One thing which I'm going to say about shame, as well as about all the different emotions that we are going to talk about in the coming 6 days as well, that none of these emotions were put inside us as humans to just spoil our lives, make our lives bad, or to cause us pain and blah blah blah. they do inherently do all of these things, of course, when we have a lot of them. However, all of the emotions, be it negative, we label them as negative, we label them as positive, we label them as good, we label them as bad. All of these emotions, all of these feelings play a certain role in how we are going to live our lives. So there, when be it shame, be it guilt, be it anger, when all of these are present in small quantities, and when we have understood how to use these things to navigate through our life, to evolve through life in a better way, and when we have reached a space where we are able to see these things in a healthy way, a small percentage of it, then we are able to use all of these dense emotions also to live a good life. However, when these things are present in our psyche, in our system, in more than the healthy quantities, what is required for us to just give us the information about what next step we need to take, what we need to do in our lives, more than that, anything more than that, then it starts to take us back on the journey of our lives. We continue to spend the next day and the next day and the next day and all the coming days in our life in the same fashion as we spend it yesterday. So it's kind of living in an autopilot mode, and all of these emotions can exist in different intensities, in different proportions. So when the proportions and the intensity increase, the emotions could be linked to specific situations, or the emotional could be linked to many different areas of your life. Or maybe if it is extremely chronic internalized shame, for an example, it could be literally impacting all the areas of your life, be it personal, be it professional, be it your relationships, be it your health, be it how you look at life, how you live your life, everything, right? So it can happen in varying degrees, and we all are grown in many different ways, in different kinds of environments, in different kinds of situations. So in our own unique way, we have learned to navigate through these situations, navigate through these triggers, and thus our reactions may differ. However, there are, when we bring all of these things together, the threads, when we start to make a fabric of it, a lot of things in it come out as patterns, and they are very similar. Okay, so that is the way we are going to go forward in these sessions and explore all of these different emotions. So that's the little bit of basic about what we're going to do today and what we're going to do for the next of 6 days. So that's that. And why now specifically talking about the emotion shame. So why do we develop it in the first place? So when we are born as humans, when we come in this shape and form, it's like a basic need that we have is the need to be loved, to be accepted, to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be heard, to be just have somebody to be there for us, because it's extremely important for us to meet our needs and for our survival. So we are completely vulnerable and completely dependent on others to survive as a human being, right? So what we want while growing up is acceptance from people, because it is highly linked to our survival. If we anytime feel that we are not accepted, then directly our survival is impacted, and we don't want that, right? Because at the end it's going to lead to death, and we don't want to die. So socialization, or adjusting to how your cultural, how your family, how your social environment, how people around, how things are driven around, how everything is managed and done, how people behave around, how your family people behave around, all of these things. Small children start observing all of these things, and we start getting subtle cues as we slowly start growing. If we don't eat our food properly, then we and if we throw it away, or if we just puke it out, then we receive certain forms of cues, certain forms of reactions from people in our environment. Now that environment and the kind of reactions that we're getting, if the language of any of those things, the energy that people are bringing, the kind of behaviors that people are bringing to us, and any of these things that we absorb, so we are like small absorber sponges, right? And we would just absorb anything that comes. So when these things come to us and we hear sentences like bad girl, bad boy, if you don't do this properly, we are not going to talk to you. I really feel ashamed of you. How could you get less marks? So I'll give you one very good example from my own personal life, that how shame and guilt actually look like in real lives. So 2 sentences I have heard as a child. The first sentence is that because of you, okay, let me speak it in Hindi how it actually appears like, कि तुमने एग्जाम में कम मार्क्स लेकर आए तो अभी समाज में मेरी नाक कट जाएगी. People are going to think less of me because you have scored less number of marks. This is one sentence. Leading to what? Leading to guilt. Leading to what? Leading to obligation. To make me feel as if I need to do something so that this caregiver of mine can be happy, so that I can win their approval, so that I can get their validation. So putting me into a lot of guilt and making me feel obligated and responsible to get better grades in exams. Fine. Now there is another sentence, similar one, which goes like this. You are very stupid. You are very stupid and you are never going to do enough things. You're never going to amount enough to make me feel proud. Like in Hindi ऐसा होता है ना कि तुम गधे हो, ठीक है, और तुम कभी भी ये चीज नहीं कर पाओगे so that I can feel proud, मुझे proud feel हो सके. Now ये दोनों sentences के बीच में छोटा सा फर्क है, छोटा सा. वो फर्क ये है कि when the first sentence was said, it was about the behavior that you got less marks in your exam, right? So you need to take responsibility and you need to do something about this. You are obligated for that. But when it comes to the second one, you are being told you are a bad girl, you are a bad boy, you are a bad person, you are dumb, you are stupid, you are idiot, you are never going to amount enough, you'll never achieve this, you're always gonna fail, you're never going to get any of these things done. If you have heard any of these sentences as a child or anything similar, I'm just taking one example from my life, but if you have heard anything similar to this, that is what shame looks like. What you could be shamed about? Literally anything. Anytime you do not match up with the kind of sociological things which are going around it. Human beings, especially when adults are dealing with children, it's very due to circumstantial reasons at times and due to their behavioral reasons at times, because they themselves are wounded people. It's very important कि आपको उस socialization के form में ढाला जाए. Otherwise, you will run haywire out of control. So आपको कंट्रोल करना है, आपको इस ढांचे में ढालना है. वो किसी भी चीज का फॉर्मेट हो सकता है, वो किसी भी चीज का ढांचा हो सकता है, डजंट मैटर, राइट? आप किस एनवायरमेंट में, अलग अलग ढांचे हो सकते हैं, बहुत वैरायटी है इस दुनिया में. बट अब आप एक सर्टेन पर्सन हो, आपकी एक सर्टेन कैपेसिटी, आपके सर्टेन गिफ्ट्स हैं, यू आर अ सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ स्पेशल थिंग्स दैट यू हैव, यू यूनिक इन योर ओन प्लेस. बट अभी आपको वो सब कुछ चेंज करना पड़ेगा एंड यू विल हैव टू अडेप्ट इट टू द सोशलाइजेशन दैट इज गोइंग अराउंड, बिकॉज इफ यू डोंट, you will not be accepted, and if you're not accepted, again leading to death. सो अभी जब हमें इस सारे ढांचों में बहुत जोर से डालने की कोशिश की जाती है, राइट, देन वी स्टार्ट गेटिंग डिस्कनेक्टेड टू हु वी आर. So much so कि over a period of time we even forget who we are, what we have come here, why we have come here, what we have come here for, क्या करने आए हैं, क्यों करने आए हैं, क्या मतलब है, हम क्या चाहते हैं. We disconnect with all of these things and we have to, right? So at that point of time as a child does not know. So उस discord के बाद we start setting unrealistic expectations and standards on our own self to match up with that socialization that was going on. ठीक है, अब वो unrealistic standards set करने के लिए we have to keep running, we have to keep going forward. अभी it's easier for us to beat ourselves up instead of getting beaten by other people around. So shame is a feeling, an emotion which is so intense, because see, if you consider yourself as a not good enough person, if you feel like an imposter, if you feel like a fraud, and if you feel that you are not good enough, then you will have to continue to keep your beat yourself up, setting, matching yourself with those unrealistic standards and whatever things and all of these things, right? And the moment you don't, so shame basically is a defense mechanism that we create so that we can keep ourselves on check by punishing ourselves, by criticizing, beating ourselves, by attacking our own selves ki ये तुमने कैसे कर दिया. तो अभी हमें एक्सटर्नल्स की भी जरूरत नहीं है. अब ये इतना इंटरनल हो चुका है, ये जो बैटल है वाइल ग्रोइंग एज अडल्ट्स, ये इतना इंटरनल हो चुका है कि वो मौका आए हमारी जिंदगी में कि हम एक्सटर्नली ये चीज फेस करें, इसके पहले ही अब हम इंटरनली ये एनवायरमेंट क्रिएट करके नाउ वी हैव स्टार्टेड लिविंग इन एन इंटरनल एनवायरमेंट ऑफ शेम. ठीक है, and this is how the shame cycle continues. Because the moment we drop shame, we'll feel really uncomfortable. Because we don't know, we may make a mistake, we may fail at something, we may do something wrong. और कोई और कुछ बोले इससे पहले important है ना कि खुद करना है. So you have to keep yourselves on toes कि कभी मैं कुछ गड़बड़ ना कर दूं, right? So it's a constant thing which is going on when it comes to chronic and internalized shame. Some people go through chronic internalized shame. Some people go through, acute forms of shame where they are, for some time they have learned to manage, these things, and they have gotten so good and perfect at something कि जब तक वो चीज कर रहे हैं, till that point of time they'll be like able to avoid it. But the moment they come out of that, these feelings start sinking back in, start coming back in, coming up on the surface, right? And again, that uptight mode is up कि नहीं, अभी फिर से उस mode में रहना है. Now, in how many different ways, what are the symptoms? How do we identify if we have something like shame, which has gotten internalized in our body, in our psyche, in our energetic system, and it has created some kinds of blocks or knots. अभी वो अंदर sink in हो गया, कैसे पता लगाएंगे, right? So I'm gonna share with you guys around 15 signs, symptoms of what actually shame looks like and what kind of behaviors it shows up in our lives. So sometimes people who have a lot of shame, including me, and most of these things that I'm talking about today are something that I have personally experienced myself. So experience is not out of this session. Sorry. So the first thing is, people who have the deposits of accumulation of shame is that they are always worried about how other people are going to see them, how other people are going to perceive them. Are they being judged? Am I looking properly? Am I talking properly? Am I doing things properly? Am I doing things perfectly or not? Right? how are they going to, see me in this situation, that situation? Always this thing is going on their head. Should I plan more? Should I do more? Should I understand more? Should I, make this list? In what way should I talk? So even before the phone call begins, you have created an entire script in your head that I'm going to say this, and I have to cover this. Or if after a conversation you continue to beat yourself saying, oh shit, why didn't I talk like this? Why didn't I talk like that? First thing. Then another thing is, has it ever happened with you that you have a group of people and you have friends, and you suddenly felt that you're not being appreciated and you're not heard and you're not seen, and then maybe there's a WhatsApp group of your friends and suddenly just you leave the group, or suddenly you leave the meeting, or suddenly you leave the gathering. That is another thing when it comes to shame, when you feel unappreciated, or you feel that you're not being acknowledged enough, valued enough, respected enough, so people should be giving attention to you. Otherwise, you've done something wrong, there's something wrong with you, you're not gonna, make it, so run away. Then another thing is feeling used by people, as if other people are taking advantage of you. Other people have the intention of using you, feeling suspicious, feeling that, sorry guys, feeling that you are, you cannot trust other people, feeling suspicious that other people are going to take advantage of me, other people are going to, break my trust, things like that. Then another thing comes into picture is that others are going to reject me. This can happen in your personal relationships. This can also happen in your professional relationships, at your work, at things you do, any of these things, right? So others are going to reject me. Sometimes it also comes in the form of abandonment, that because I'm not good enough, others are going to abandon me. Now, there could be two things as a result of any of these feelings, like rejection, any of these fears, rejection, abandonment and all that we may become so clingy and so needy that we would want to, just keep people with us, control them. This can also give rise to narcissistic behaviors like excessive control, trying to control everything in your life, in other people's life and all that. And this can also lead to you becoming completely avoidant or withdrawing, not creating walls around you and not letting people in your life. This may also lead to you judging your work constantly, that perfectionism, procrastination, both of these cycles coming together where you continue to, achieve perfection in whatever you do, right? So much so that when you don't achieve it, or you feel that you have not, perfected something, you start procrastinating. Right? Then another thing which can come into picture is feelings of inadequacy, like an outsider, like you do not match up with people, there's something different in you, other people don't appreciate you. So because of that, you don't participate enough, or you again become very clingy or needy in your friendships, with your acquaintances, with people around you, right? So that's another sign. Feeling embarrassed about saying something, making a regular mistake and feeling excessively embarrassed about it, or worrying too much about feeling inappropriate or making a mistake, having feelings of failure, that you're going to fail or you always make a mistake, and inability to connect with anyone. And when we have disconnect with ourselves, as we spoke about in the beginning, we also have disconnect with other people in the same way. And what else? Oh, another thing that comes into picture is withdrawal, that you very quickly you withdraw from things, right? right? So there's something going on and you wanted to be there, you wanted to do that, all of those things are fine. But the moment things started to go a little bit here and there and started getting uncomfortable, you just run away, you just withdraw from there. And what else? So these are the points that I could remember about feeling shame. Right. Now, talking about what are the different kinds of reactions, how do we react when we have any of these kinds of shame, there in deposited in us. So the first kind of reaction that comes into picture is attacking other people. So because the easiest way for us to get out of this shame mode, not being shamed by other people, is flip the coin and put it in their court. Flip the ball, put the ball in their other people's court. So attack other people by blaming them, by becoming really angry at them, becoming passive aggressive, becoming avoidant, or shouting at them, or just scapegoating them, or bullying them, any of these things, right? So this is one form where one kind of fight mode where you start attacking other people. Another thing that usually people do is attacking oneself. So when you make a mistake, let's suppose, and if you feel really uncomfortable that somebody else could attack me, and if that happens, I'm gonna feel even further bad. So let me do one thing. Let me start playing the victim, or let me start criticizing myself. So if I start criticizing myself and I start making all of these things, that I am such a stupid person, I can't do this, I cannot do that, I can never do this, I'm not good enough, I'll never be good enough, and become that crybaby and say that, oh, I'm just too bad, so that the other person starts feeling bad about it, and they have nothing left to say because we have already blamed ourselves, we have already criticized ourselves, made ourselves really small already. So that's another way. The third way is withdrawal, which is kind of freeze mode, isolating yourself, not talking, not doing anything, not resolving the situation, hiding from the situation. Another similar form of this is avoidance, which is complete denial, or not acknowledging it at all. But the difference between withdrawal and avoidance is that when we avoid, we are completely denying the situation. But when we are withdrawing, somewhere inside we know that this thing has happened, but rather than facing it, let me just hide away. So still in avoidance, we are giving some reaction, but in withdrawal, the reaction is running away from the situation. So when we have a lot of this internalized chronic shame in us, very quickly, without even realizing, we jump into any of these reactive modes, and these reactions are so much so in autopilot mode that we don't even realize that we are doing them and how it is harming us and other people in these situations. Because this is a defense mechanism, and this defense mechanism was created in the first place to make you feel safe. So it's kind of impossible for you to see until you're really honest with yourself, until you're really ready to acknowledge how it is impacting your life. It's impossible for you to see that the kind of hurt it is bringing to you and other people. Because none of these negative emotions are bad. They were all adapted by us as some of the other form of defense mechanism. And we are going to talk about other emotions as well in the coming sessions. And like I said, that shame was created so that we can keep ourselves on check. So there is an inherent benefit involved, inherent benefit that comes with shame. Likewise, all of these negative emotions have some of these benefits that come with them. They serve a purpose. However, they serve one purpose, but then they disserve 9 others. That's the ratio. However, when we are dealing with these situations and we have become adapted to these kind of reactive mechanisms, then we are only able to see that one benefit that comes with it. Unconsciously, that's all we can see. And for us to see the 9 cons of using this defense mechanism, it really requires a lot of honesty and a lot of courage to see what we have been doing in our lives. So, how does shame impact us? Now, shame impacts our work, our confidence, our health, physical, mental, emotional, energetic, all the different ways. In long term, shame, a constant feeling of shame, can cause you hazardous, disastrous physical illnesses. Any kind of illnesses that are kind of autoimmune in nature, that kind of start eating your body, जो आपकी बॉडी को खोखला बनाने लगते हैं अंदर से, all of those are interlinked to the feelings of shame, because you have internalized it so much that your body starts consuming itself. It has reached that kind of a gross level now. Another, of course, mental health, physical health, कि हमने बात करी, emotional health starts getting impacted, because all of these things are impacted and we are in this reactive mode all the time. All our reactions come out in that way. So if you are somebody who's extremely defensive all the time, then you need to really take a pause and see where this defensiveness comes from, where people are not blaming you, people are not criticizing you, people are not telling you anything bad about you, none of these things, but anything where you see a red signal and you jump forward and you start defending yourself. That's shame speaking. So, in your behaviors, first 2 things can happen. In 2 ways, it can impact your relationships. First way, that in your relationships, it can start impacting them in 2 ways. First way is that you are going to label people for what they are not. You are going to criticize people for what they are not. Just a moment, guys. I just need one. Okay, wait, I'm back. So you're going to start labeling people, being suspicious on people, and criticizing them, or seeing them from the eyes of mistrust, even when they have not done anything like that, even if they are trustworthy. Then they're going to feel that you're blaming them for a crime that they have not committed, and they're gonna pull back. Because you have trust issues, you're going to see others also from the same eyes. And secondly, the thing that can happen in your relationship is you are going to continue to live a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you have a belief that I am not good enough, I don't deserve good people, so I need to have people in my life who match up with who I am. So, भीड़ से चुन के हम ऐसे लोग लेकर आते हैं who can make us feel familiar, and who can reinforce this belief, reinforce this thing which we have, proving us right. So we continue to choose being right instead of being happy, because being right makes us feel in control, makes us feel safe. So अगर हम ऐसे लोगों के साथ रहते हैं who are actually loving, it feels really uncomfortable, really unfamiliar. So we need to be with those people who are able to prove that yes, I am somebody who's not good enough. I am somebody who's not worthy enough, undeserving. I'm an undeserving person. I need to play small because small is my game. Right? So that happens to your relationship, that starts causing a lot of loneliness. It causes you to not have a good lifestyle, or maybe have such a lifestyle where you are totally occupied, where you have become a workaholic person, you don't take care of yourself, you have literally screwed your health, right? So going into extremes is what happens, right? And at your workplace, I have spoken to a lot of people who belong to this category. What happens with them is they're brilliant people, really good at their work, really good at their job, but they don't get to go beyond a certain level because of their perfection and because of their procrastination, their fear of feeling like a failure, afraid of making a mistake. So if they go forward, they will be in positions at a job, or maybe start a business. They will be taking more responsibilities, and when they take more responsibilities, if they go to higher positions, what that means, there is a higher chance of making a mistake. There is a higher chance of making a bigger mistake, and we don't want to do that. We want to avoid them at all costs. Because why? We want to play small in our life. So there's this constant fight which happens inside people, where they want something, they desire something in their life, but another side they have a belief that I don't deserve it, right? And these two things continue to clash. You want something and you don't want something at the same point of time, and thus creating an even toxic cycle, a toxic battle inside ourselves, where we keep beating ourselves, we keep running the race, where we keep doing, overachieving, underachieving, continue to match up to that standard while continuing to believe that I don't deserve it, right? People, this is also linked to imposter syndrome at times, and that's how it impacts us, all the different areas of our lives, right? And the higher the intensity, the deeper the intensity, the more chronic the issues can become, the more problematic the issues can become, right? So that's that. Now, as we were going to talk about how to deal with shame, so let's go to that part and talk about how can we overcome these accumulated internalized emotions of shame, right? So the first thing to do on this journey is to explore what shame means. And if you're here watching this, then you've taken the first step. So understanding what shame really means, going to the depth of it, understanding the connection it has with you, who you are, what kind of a mindset do you carry in the current scenario, just in the current scenario. Observe your behaviors, observe your triggers. What are the things that trigger you? What are the kind of reactions that you give? What are the things that make you feel ashamed? What are the things that you're embarrassed about, humiliated about? What are the things which make you feel really uncomfortable? Do you feel uncomfortable with strangers? Do you feel uncomfortable when you are given attention? Do you feel uncomfortable when you are said to go in front of people, show yourself? Any of these things? Do you feel underconfident? Do you feel like you're an imposter? Do you feel that anything that you achieve in your life is by luck? You're not worthy enough. None of the things that you do matter. You don't matter. Explore all of these things. Take a pause and understand the kind of mental dialogue that happens inside you, the kind of emotions you feel. Go even further deeper and understand the kind of emotions you feel in your body. Are there any illnesses? Are there any physical diseases that you have? Is your body not energetic enough, not working properly? Explore all of these things. First, understand where you are. Then, going further, you start understanding what are the things which led you to this kind of a state. How did you reach here? And one thing I'll say that when we are dealing with this amount of internalized shame, chronic shame, or even let's say acute shame, this shame only keeps us away from talking to a professional, talking to the right person, and deal with this, because we are stuck in the constant perfectionism, in being right, not making a mistake. So in front of your in front of the professional also, you're going to feel that I'm going to be judged by this, and this may stop you from taking the action. But I would say that these intense emotions, when they come up on the surface, when you realize how did you reach here, what kind of an environment you were raised into, what kind of things you were told, start writing about these things, start understanding about these things, start getting to know these things deeper, explore them deeper. And once you have understood where are these things coming from, there comes a point where these things need to seen in a way where we can heal them. So basically when we are talking about healing, it's like coming from the space of unhealthiness to health, right? It's like coming to the opposite side of the river. And for healing them, it's important, especially for these kind of emotions, that in the right way, in the right fashion, these emotions and the impact they have. So basically, there is a lot I can talk about this topic and give like further so many different examples and things that half an hour, 1 hour will really be less to cover all these things, because there are so many things to talk about. But once you have come to the point where you understand this thing about yourself, processing these emotions in the right way, that is one work that needs to happen at an emotional level. At the mental level, working at the level of beliefs, that your beliefs which are self-critical, which are avoidant, which are anxious in nature, which are attacking to others, which withdraw, all of these things, and whatever beliefs that you have carried around these things till now, need to reach the opposite side of the spectrum, where you're able to write a positive belief about these things. And actually writing a positive belief is okay, but the work of the kind of relationship that you have to develop with yourself, the kind of compassion that you need to show to yourself, the kind of acceptance that you need to show to yourself, the kind of forgiveness that you need to show to yourself, with that, creating that kind of a relationship with yourself, you will not be able to change your belief system, no matter how hard you try, right? So developing that kind of a relationship with yourself, when you have seen that child, and when you've understood the kind of traumas that have happened, each of the trauma create different kinds of split in us, different kind of protector personalities in us, different kinds of defense mechanisms with us, connecting with each of these different splits and children inside us, as we call them, inner childs, reparenting them, right? Bringing them back home, freeing them, loving them back. So doing all of these things, even going further, this trauma gets accumulated in the body. So it's very important to release all of these things from the body itself. Yoga, any kind of somatic workout would help in this case, but I very highly say that until you work at the emotional and mental level, just doing yoga and somatic work is not going to do anything for you, right? So all of these things need to see in an integrated way and need to be worked out in an integrated way, in a holistic way, right? One at a time. You cannot do everything at a time, but you can always create the right kind of system for yourself. And as we can talk from experience, while I have personally worked with at least 1,000 people coming up with one or the other kind of, these belief systems, these, messages. So I can say it very confidently that when system is followed in a right way, we can heal from these things within a given period of time. So that's that. Then going even further, I will not be talking much about energetic work right here, but when we have cleared all of these different sheets, going even further deeper, doing some energy work, doing some cleansing at the level of the energy. So that is something which cleanses it from the root level. Meditations can help, subliminals can help, a lot of these things can help. If you guys, any of you wish to take help of any of these things, you can take up our healing journey. So I would highly recommend that it's not necessary that you work with us, but we have a proper system developed to take you through this entire process, all of these different things at different levels. You can take up the 4 level of healing journey that we have. You can, check out the e-learning journeys, the DIY healing library that we have on our website, or you can just, connect with one of us over a clarity call. Any of these options are there from our side. If you're not able to do any of these things due to whatever reasons, we have our communities. You can just come, drop your text there, and we will be responding to all of you guys. So it's important that you start now. If you do it DIY, it's gonna take you way more longer time, guys. I'm just telling you all from experience, because I have given years and years of my life. My journey started at the age of 17, doing all of this work. It started even before, I started reading books and all that, but my actual journey, where I started understanding all of these things, started at the age of 17, and I have wasted over a decade not taking help. So there are people, there are professionals, they have experience. When you have a physical illness, you do not, start learning surgery. You're going to waste your valuable years of your life. Take help of any experienced professional whom you can trust. Not just, doesn't have to be us, anybody, but take help. That's very important, right? Because these systems can be defined with the right way. You don't have to keep like रायता फैलाने की जरूरत नहीं है हर जगह पे. You can just, keep it simple and focus on your work, focus on living a good life. That's what is important. That's that. I'll be covering more of these points, more of these tools, practices, techniques as we speak about other emotions in the coming next 6 days. And anything more if I have about today's session, I'll be sharing tomorrow as we will talk about guilt. So that's that, guys. And it was wonderful being here. I don't know how many of you were there for the entire session as anything, but if you wish to speak to us about anything, if you wish to speak to me about anything, you can just post to us in our community. So thank you so much. Have a great evening. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.